analytical skills. It may sound very different. It may sound, different to you, but I must tell you with confidence, because if you really want to make everything measurable and objective in the organization, a person must, in a leadership position in HR, must be very, very analytical, and he must have very good quantitative skills. Unfortunately, most of the people who take HR specializations in business schools, they run away from numbers. So this is the last thing now, HR, last thing in my, and the person should have a thorough knowledge of systems and processes. So this is what I would like to look at for an ideal HR person, in any good team. So thanks, and if you have any questions later on, so welcome.
Thank you, Kamal. That was very elaborate view of you. I think it's good you share your story from learning. It's the best learning to share when you have. But I want to still revisit the question and keep it open for all the panel now. Okay, some questions which you can go for open, and anyone of you can pick it up and answer. So let's go back to the question of recruitment, because recruitment is one of the largest challenges which company faces. Are there any hidden pockets where one should look at, or they would like ignored, where somebody should go to and hire people or start looking at? How do we supplement the attrition? How do we ramp up on the basis of new projects? These are the two challenges which we sleep with every day. And maybe starting from Wake or whoever takes it up. But these are like
Pratap, this is one of the very real kind of a problem, particularly for smaller organizations, because if you are, Accenture, IBM, probably that may not be so much of a problem, because your brand pull is very, very strong. But when you are a startup, 30, 40, 50, 200 people organization from tier 2 kind of a city, the problem becomes far more pronounced. And with the margins under attack, and your paying capacity also is the issue. And that's where I see there are two things that we need to do. Is that one, bring in the efficiencies in our business model, because you see what's happening today is that the business model is such in large amount of software companies which breeds in inefficiency. If you are in that kind of model where you are basically billing per person. Now, billing per person is always dependent on how many people are on board, right? So whether those guys are productive, not productive. So you need to have, if you are billing 5 people, then you need to have 5 people, and the cost associated with those. Even if that work can be done by 3 people or 2 people, you can't bring in that efficiency. So we need to creatively think to manage both sides of equation, which is bringing in efficiencies and handling the business model. Second, as Pratap was saying, that how can we attract people from those hidden pockets which are there? I think one of the biggest resource which is lying is that tier 2, tier 3 colleges which are spread all over the country, which are producing engineers who are completely unemployable, as Vivek was saying. And that's where organizations need to start going and start investing in terms of, I'm sure if an organization of, say, ITS size goes and talks to 3 colleges around Punjab, maybe a remote outside Chandigarh, remote areas of Punjab, and say, okay, we would like you to run courses on Java or courses on, say, CAD/CAM, the area that you work on. So your area of specializations, where you need people, and we would provide training to those guys, 6 months industrial training, etc., etc. So colleges would be willing to support that. So what I'm saying is that the ready-made solutions probably are not available. But if we think out of box and start investing a little bit in that space, then probably there is an opportunity lying there. So that's my point.
Thanks, Vivek. I'd just like to probably share a few personal examples that we've had, and then look at try to break it up between short-term and long-term strategies to try and solve the problem. It need not necessarily be a solution to solve the problem, but how we've worked out solutions. In the short term, this is a personal experience. when I was working in Malaysia for a few years, we always had the cyclical nature of our business where there was a huge requirement for resources to come in, and then there were those fallow periods where there was nothing. So what do you do with the extra people sitting on the bench? To circumvent that, we were very, office was in Cyberjaya. That's a place where you had a lot of these universities around. We got the kids in, gave them free training. 10 kids. Trained them on the technology that we needed, on that we were working on. We just said, take it and go back, and if and when we need it, we'll get back to you. 2 months down the line, suddenly there was this huge requirement, and we didn't know how else to meet it. We called the 10 guys and said, we're going to pay you so much per course. Would you be interested? All 10 of them came in. No one sat in the office, even though we had huge office space. They sat in their own homes. They got paid as they delivered each project. There were courses that we were building. It worked excellent for us. It was a model that we replicated, and we sailed through most of our bad times. And I say bad times, I mean tough times, good times from a business perspective because you get a lot more business. But otherwise, from a delivery aspect, it was bad. So that was one. As Aspire, another part that I'll go to how we handle our situation is we train close to about 20,000 students across the country, right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, or rather Coimbatore, and Shillong to Ahmedabad. And we go to tier 2, 3, 4 cities. Now, to train these, and we're looking at a huge number of students more, again, specific on various employability skills, or it could even be hardcore technical skills. We try and we have a mix of certain number of trainers who are on board, and the rest are all freelance. It helps us stay asset light. It helps you reach out to 20,000, and you know your pipeline. You know how you can handle the situation. What is a core group that you need of trainers to be on board? So largely, you have to figure out what works for you. But for us also, being a budding organization which is 3 years old, we can't have 200 trainers on board and pay those kind of salaries. We just can't. So this is a model that we worked out on basically. Thanks for that.
Pratap mentioned the rural areas, and that's a very important point because a large segment of people are sitting pretty in a way, and we are not able to tap them. I think companies are not making enough efforts to go to the interior, into the hinterland. And these boys and girls are probably ending up attending courses which are rather irrelevant, in the hope that they will learn something there which will get them a job in Chandigarh or Delhi. Now these guys are out of sync with the requirement of these companies. These companies are not communicating with those centers which are coaching them and with the students themselves. So there is a large pocket which exists which is not being tapped. Now how do we bridge this gap? The companies have to make the effort. Because who's the ultimate beneficiary? The companies which are the end users have to reach out to these pockets. They have to go to each district of, let's say, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, wherever. Now these districts, these small towns which are untapped would probably provide, with a little bit of effort, with a little bit of help, they would provide the kind of people who are required and who would probably be very stable in terms of low attrition rates once they join. So if we can make these efforts, go there, reach out, tell these agencies or institutes which are training them as to what they should be training them in. And maybe work with some organizations, HR organizations to kind of make a database, to tap these students which are slightly better. Maybe go to universities like there's a large one in Jalandhar, which is probably about 40,000 students, a lovely university. They've got other universities, maybe in Amritsar, even close to Delhi, there are a large number who might want to come to Chandigarh, for example. So these people need to be tapped. And this can be done. The government is not really going to be able to help. So it has to be the companies which reach out to these students as well as these institutes. The other thing is that this large section of the population which is sitting idle at home, I feel very strongly about retired people. You know, I don't know why we tend to write them off. There could be people who retire from the army at the age of 55, 52. And maybe they can do a 1-year course or a 2-year course and make themselves very capable of working even better than youngsters. So maybe a 55-year-old need not be looked down upon, and maybe we can recruit a battalion of them actually. They might be sitting and hoping that, wishing that life had something more for them. They have that urge, that desire, but they don't know what to do. Even in Chandigarh, you could find thousands of them. And they're intelligent, experienced people. They know how to work in an organization. So maybe we could tap them. And perhaps housewives. Housewives who can work from home. They need not necessarily go to the office. Today you can work from home very easily. In America, large numbers of people are doing it. And why work from home only on the basic levels? A call center type or a response type of work. It could be something very technical as well. So these housewives and these retired people, if they are enabled with 1-year courses or 2-year courses or 6 months courses to be able to work for organizations, I think we can bridge the gap around.
Thank you. That was a very good perspective. This new source of people. Another aspect which I wish you mentioned is you talk about retirement. A lot of us believe that the corporate social responsibility or social work comes only when you start making a lot of money or you're already aging, then only the CSR comes in. It's not true. CSR can be part of your DNA on the very day one. When you start your company, because you are a human being, you also think, how can I do something while I start making money? The God is the same, and you will probably think, if I go and look at certain aspects of social responsibility. Maybe going and picking up people in the villages, adopting a village, taking up and going to an ITI and taking a program there, or associating some, hiring people from the not that privileged areas. That also helps in your company, because there is a very good example. I got a chance to meet Mr. Jerry Rao, the ex-CEO of FSL, and he said they have just concluded a survey in South. The companies who do CSR have high retention ratio. High retention. The employees have a tendency to work for a company. The company is involved in social responsibilities. They say that because it shows a good soul of the company. It displays that the company serves the communities. It shows that the company has a certain aspect where they go and helping somebody, some other human beings. And the employee tends to stay with that company longer. It's a very unique survey. I'm trying to get the details of that in Chandigarh and the detailed presentation, how they realize that. It's a very good correlation established. So there's another perspective which I thought I'd bring it in. Before we conclude this session, start the question and answer. On the CSR side, as I mentioned about that part, as a HR, is there anyone in the panel who would like to add something towards CSR responsibility, CSR part aspect, how it's linked to HR, whose responsibility is that in the organization, how it imbibes into a smaller company? Rajesh?
I think that we are involved in one research where we are basically trying to see that post 1982 born people who are coming into large numbers in the workplace, and what is their perspective about the way they look at the workplace. And we are basically looking at it from two perspectives. One is that these people invariably have a better exposure to technology, and secondly, the kind of parenting that these people have received is very, very different compared to my generation. It's far more friendlier kind of upbringing that they have, and how it is impacting them. And in that research, one of the dimensions that we noticed is that this group of people is extremely aware about their social surrounding, and particularly on issues like pollution, environment, sustainability. These are the issues which connect very well with this population. And so CSR becomes the interesting issue, not only from the corporate social responsibility point of view, but also from the employee's point of view, because employees are looking at the workplace which provides a sense of meaning. That I'm working in an organization which is providing a sense of meaning. And recently I was also in the process of this research, looked at even the customer, because the customer base is also becoming the same. And Michael Porter, the guru of marketing, he has also started talking about his latest book, which is Marketing 3.0. He is again talking about the same dimension, which is that the whole human needs to be addressed when you are reaching out to the market, because now functional dimension of your product or the emotional dimension of your product alone is not good enough. But how this product locates in the world, and he's using the word like spirituality. And so the spiritual being is what you're trying to address to. And coming from Michael Porter, it's a very radical kind of a thought to come. So essentially what I'm saying is that now people are looking for meaning in their work, and meaning is not that they are not looking at meaning, which is the 10 hours I do work ruthlessly, and then the evening I'll go in Hanumanji ka mandir and do some prasad puja, and then I'm out. And it is done. They are looking at meaning which is integral to their work. So from a retention perspective also, I see that if I can look at my work from the perspective of what meaning does it create for the world, what problem, the way I generally advise our clients to think about, what is the human problem you are trying to solve through your work? Because whatever work we are doing, we are trying to solve some human problem, right? And if people can get connected, your employees can get connected at that level, then your retention and sense of meaning and CSR, all of this.
Thank you. Very nice. Kamal, you shared a good experiential journey of your thing, Kamal. Anything on the CSR like to add up? Did you see anything happening? Did you do anything with your company experienced?
Not anything in a very concrete form, but we have a few team members, who are passionate about, like we have a small
of your product, or the emotional dimension of your product alone is not good enough. But how this product locates in the world, and he's using the word like spirituality. And so the spiritual being is what you're trying to address to. And coming from Michael Porter, it's a very radical kind of a thought to come. So essentially what I'm saying is that now people are looking for meaning in their work, and meaning is not that they are not looking at meaning, which is the 10 hours I do work ruthlessly, and then the evening I'll go in Hanumanji ka mandir and do some prasad puja, and then I'm out. And it is done. They are looking at meaning which is integral to their work. So from a retention perspective also, I see that if I can look at my work from the perspective of what meaning does it create for the world, what problem, the way I generally advise our clients to think about, what is the human problem you are trying to solve through your work? Because whatever work we are doing, we are trying to solve some human problem, right? And if people can get connected, your employees can get connected at that level, then your retention and sense of meaning and CSR, all of this.
Thank you. Very nice. Kamal, you shared a good experiential journey of your thing, Kamal. Anything on the CSR like to add up? Did you see anything happening? Did you do anything with your company experienced?
Not anything in a very concrete form, but we have a few team members, who are passionate about, like we have a small department of supplemental education. The guy who runs it, he's from Kerala. He's very passionate about, going to nearby areas and, on weekends, spending time with, those children and, spending time with them with those pedagogical skills which they otherwise may never, see in their schools. Sometimes he takes us along, other team members along. So this is on a very small level, but not nothing beyond that.
Maybe it's time to take the questions from all of you. Very good. Please go ahead.
So the next Bill Gates of the world. I hope it happens. But this is what she tells me. What am I going to get out? What is the answer that I'm supposed to give to her? Talking about all the rural upliftment and everything that we talk about. I need to make my company run. And at the same time, I need to make it.
Vivek has been on both sides of the table tonight.
So you want, so you want me to tell you what answer you should have given her?
I want to make sure that I make my business run more.
Right, absolutely. Actually, the mindset, and you met one individual, maybe if you meet 5, we'll get a better perspective. All 10 have the same attitude? Okay.
We will not pay you for the training.
Right.
If you will do it free of charge, we are more than willing to do it. I know that if I get training, should I will be moving forward. So what do I do in this situation?
I think somebody needs to pay, that's true. Probably the organization which is recruiting these people has more chance of paying you than the student or the college. So the recruitment is what you're helping in. You're helping in the recruitment process by enabling these people to be recruitable. Now, personally, there are other organizations which I have learned about, worked with, which do similar things, and they're reasonably successful. Perhaps you'll have to be a little more persistent in terms of maybe 10 you've met, maybe meet another 30, then you'll get a better idea. And also perhaps meet companies